Hello everyone and welcome back to School of Dragons. This is part 2 of All My Dragons. The last dragon we saw was Elizardon, the Death Song. And we're picking up right where we left with another Death Song. This is Mega Elizardon. This is the Titan form of Elizardon. In other words, it's Elizardon's big brother. This dragon is quite ferocious in appearance, but surprisingly he's a lot more docile and friendly than his younger brother. He is quite a lonesome creature. He likes to spend a lot of time alone on his own exploring the islands, and he rarely engages with other dragons. He is a cannibalistic dragon by instinct, but he is more of an omnivore, which means he will eat anything that he can find. And if that happens to be a dragon, he will go for it. But when I'm with him, he is a loving and very peaceful dragon. Next up, we have Purple Guy. We have another death song. This is Shen. Shen has a giant ego. He's very proud of himself in everything that he does, even if it's just simple tasks such as flying from one island to the next. He is convinced that he does it better than everyone else, and that he is above everyone else, and that can prove quite challenging, especially in a death song because they are such proud creatures. He wasn't quite a hatchling when I found him. He was around his teen age, and it took a lot of convincing, training, and spending time with him to ensure that he could be a functioning part of society within the school. It's extremely difficult with death songs because they do have an instinct to be cannibalistic and kill and lure prey, despite being a dragon itself. He still brags and prides himself around all dragons, but he does not eat them, and that's a big plus. This is Nola the Deathgripper. In truth, Deathgrippers by nature are not necessarily that ferocious. You can actually train them to be a really loving and great companion because they're very intelligent dragons, similar to the Night Fury. So Nola does not have a mean bone in him, despite his quite terrifying appearance. He loves to fly around with me, loves going for big long flights, walks, anything really that has to do with being social. He's a really understanding dragon and very patient in everything that I throw at him, so he's quite a good boy. This is Shred, another Deathgripper. He's quite more energetic than Nola. He can be a bit mischievous. I don't think I would go so far to call him evil, but he does like to cause a bit of trouble around the school by bullying some of the other dragons, poking them with his tusk and knocking over plants, digging up gardens, stuff like that. Minor things that can come across as really annoying, but not quite evil, just mischievous. He can be extremely helpful if he puts his mind to it, but he is very opinionated and he only wants to do what he wants to do, when he wants to do it. So he can be a challenge, but not nearly as difficult as some of the death songs. So he's overall a decent dragon. He just needs a bit more training and a bit more practice at being a part of a sophisticated dragon society. This is Abby, the Deathly Gale Slash. Abby is a very independent dragon. She is quite lonesome. She used to be around a smaller group of deadly adders that she hung out with, but over time they got separated and now she's just on her own. Or with me whenever she allows me to hang out with her. She has been through a lot in her life, lost a lot of family, a lot of relatives, and a lot of friends in a harsh world in the archipelago. She has good energy, excellent cardio, and can go for long flights without being tired at all. So she is a prime example of a healthy and strong dragon. This is Broken Face. His face is broken. He is not intelligent. He's quite dumb. This is Creepy Nose Guy, the Dramelian. He is creepy, and he has a big nose, and he is a guy. He's a male, that's what I mean. he's friendly and quite, you know, standard dragon really, like a dog, a bit like a dog. He's smart enough, he's a bit stiff, he's an older dragon, he has not really that much movement in him. He's not like an ancient dragon, but he's like middle-aged around that, and he doesn't really do much, he just hangs around and he's on his own mostly, so I don't really have that much in depth of his personality, I'm not quite sure, but from what I've seen he's quite friendly. This is Hela the Dramelian. She is a very self-aware dragon. She is very mindful of her surroundings, she's very calculated in everything that she does, and keeps an eye on everything that happens around her. She doesn't move around too much, doesn't migrate, doesn't explore. She normally stays in one place and protects it with all she's got, even though we normally don't need protection because the school is quite safe and the entire area around our dragon society. But she is extremely watchful, and it's sometimes hard to tell what she's thinking and what her intentions are. She hasn't really shown any sign of aggression or being cruel in any way, but she hasn't really shown kindness either. She just really sticks to herself. This is Akana, the Dreadstrider. This is a hybrid dragon between a speed stinger and Flightmare. That means that she's a combination of these two dragons and a combination of these two temperaments in these dragons. So the speed stinger is very skittish and very fast, and the Flightmare shares a little bit of the same skittishness and solitude. They like to be on their own, and that is a lot to deal with in a Dreadstrider, because it took a lot of effort to train her to actually be around Vikings and other dragons as well, because she has that skittish nature. But I've actually accomplished it quite well, and she enjoys hanging out with other dragons. She's mostly active at night, so she hangs out with other Flightmares mostly, because they're also night-based dragons. She's a great dragon. She's not necessarily friendly or helpful, but she's thriving and she seems happy, and that's what's important. This is Mr. Immortal, the Eruptodon. Despite his name, he's actually not immortal at all. He's just really old and seems to never want to kick the bucket. I didn't raise him from when he was a baby. I just found him one day, he was alone, and he started following me, and he returned to the school, and now he's part of the family. I'm not sure about how old he is. He could be 100. He's not seeing that well anymore. His eyesight is not what it used to be. And he just hangs out at Eruptodon Island mostly, takes a bit of flying around and just enjoys being by the lava, because he's not that great with heating up his own body anymore because he is quite old. So I give him space, that's the best thing to do. This is Monde. He's another Eruptodon. He's quite young, quite energetic, and he eats nothing but potatoes. I have introduced him all sorts of different things: fish, eggs, meat, dragon nip, oranges even, but he's not interested, he just eats potatoes. And he looked like a potato, and therefore he got the name Monde, which means potato. So he is a potato. This is Torbjorn, the Fire Terror. Torbjorn he's just nasty. He's just not in appearance but in behavior. He's just not good. He's so selfish, and he spends time on his own all the time. He doesn't even care about me. I try to talk to him, but doesn't care. He's just chasing after night terrors, which is his relatives. There's not a lot of fire terrors around the school. He just chases around after the night terrors, trying to join their group, but nobody wants to have anything to do with him because he's just so pushy. He's just so full of himself, and he's not helpful at all. It's difficult when you raise dragons. You don't know what you get, but with him, I just got the whole package of just bad dragon, just bad. I've just kind of given up and leave him on his own because it's not worth it anymore. It's not worth it. This is Silver Serpent, the Fireworm Queen. Unlike the classic Fireworm Queen, Silver Serpent has a silver coat of scales covering her body. It's really beautiful, extremely shiny, but it has also cast her out among other Fireworm Queens, and it's been very difficult for her to build a nest. But I found her outside the school and took her in. And at the School of Dragons, we have all sorts of dragons, including Fireworm Queens in many different color variations. So she has no trouble fitting in at the school, because she's found her home there and she feels just perfectly adjusted and just accepted, and she's really thriving. This is Marionette. that's all the dragons we're gonna cover in part 2. Thank you so much for watching. We're gonna pick up next time with another Flame Ripper. So hopefully I will see you there.